Welcome to Moose Plays, everyone. I'm the Liquor Moose, and today we'll be going over our Season 3 Week 7 matchup, which is against the Pocket Monsters, which went through a little bit of a debacle kind of this year. Their original coach had to drop out, so he got taken over by Andre, a friend of a friend of mine, Kyle, I believe. But from what I heard, Andre is an exceptional battler, so needed to prepare relatively well for this one. For starters, the one thing with Andre's team is that he was allowed to make any moves he wanted. The only move he did make was dropping Rotom Wash for Kartana. He got to do that for free as kind of like just as kind of like an offering for like, hey, you joined the league late, so your draft might not suit you, so you can change up your team however necessary. He only elected to change the Kartana. But anyway, seeing as that Kartana was on his team, Skarmory wasn't auto-include. This straight up stonewalls it. So we're in a physically defensive set with Spikes, Defog, Brave Bird, and Roost. Pretty standard stuff on that. Choice Scarf Kyurem is making a return. It outspeeds. It's with a modest nature, so it's able to outspeed the Mega Sceptile, which is blistering fast. Coverage moves, no Draco Meteor, because Andre has 3 fairy types, which actually he brought all 3, which are immune to it, so it wasn't always a reliable click. And the coverage options it got were just like better for the match. So I gave it Ice Beam, Flash Cannon as a way to hit the fairies, Earth Power, and Shadow Ball. And with those moves, I think only like 2 things on his team didn't take super effective damage. One of them was the Kartana, but I mean its special defense is so low it doesn't matter. Then we've got a specially defensive Florges here, mostly as a wall to both the Mega Sceptile and the Tapu Koko. We're bringing like a more like streamlined set that you would see in standard play. It's a Calm Mind set, even though those are normally physically defensive. The threats I needed it for were special, so I just threw the investment into special defense instead. With Calm Mind, Moonblast, Aromatherapy to heal some status on just my entire team, and then Synthesis to heal up. As you can see, the whole Fairy Dragon Steel Core is here for my team. We are unironically bringing Torkoal this time. Again, a physically defensive set. It was just one of those things where Andre not only has Kartana, but also has a Scavalier on his team. So I decided to bring this instead of the Heatran to deal with both of them. Because for one, it gets the Scavalier gets Drill Run, which can OHKO Heatran, and Kartana gets Sacred Sword, I think is the move, the physical one, to hit Heatran as well. So Torkoal was a better answer to both of them. Running Stealth Rock, Lava Plume, Toxic. Toxic mostly to put a clock onto Mew if he ran it defensive, even though it would get poisoned back with Synchronize. I just figured with Aromatherapy it didn't really matter all that much. And then his last move was Earth Power, just to hit a good number of things on his team, like this Klefki and the Tapu Koko. We did make a move this week, so actually I'll go over Seismitoad last because that was the move I made. Galvantula I brought to be a spec set as a way to answer offensive Mew, carrying Volt Switch, Thunder, Bug Buzz, and Hidden Power Ice. I did need to watch out for, even though I don't think Andre has a ground type, unless I'm mistaken, I don't remember his roster entirely. But his Sceptile does have Lightning Rod, so I needed to watch out for me clicking on Electric type attacks there. Last Pokemon is the Seismitoad. We did make a move. We dropped Jellicent for this Pokemon. And don't get me wrong, Jellicent, every time I brought it, was fantastic, and it did exactly as well as I needed it to be. However, picking up Seismitoad honestly just put like a lot less stress on my team in general. It adds another Stealth Rock user, which before, even though I do have both Torkoal and a Zelf, I'm obviously not going to bring Torkoal every week, and I don't really want to run rocks on a Zelf all that often. So honestly, like, the only actual entry hazard user would be Skarmory on my team. On top of that, it also gets access to Knockoff, which a lot of my team was lacking before as well, only a Zelf and Whimsicott getting it. And it does get Water Absorb as well, like Jellicent does. And it does have only one weakness and another immunity, so I actually have 2 immunities with the Seismitoad pick. It just overall put a lot less stress. It took off a lot of stress from other members of my team to like fill specific roles. It just felt, even though I am losing the Ghost type, and honestly the only thing other than that is I am losing the special defense stat. Jellicent's special defense stat is better than Seismitoad's, but other than that, all of Seismitoad's stats are better than Jellicent's. I kind of figured if the only thing I was losing out of that deal was a Ghost type, I was pretty fine with it. So like I said, Jellicent was great, but I just figured Seismitoad was a better fit for my team. So anyways, this week we're actually bringing an Assault Vest set. It's rocking Knockoff, Drain Punch, Poison Jab, and Earthquake with max attack and HP investment. Just kind of as a general attacker. It does relatively well against the Togekiss, able to tank the hits, and then hit back with Poison Jabs. And even at that, it does a decent job of checking the Mew as well if it's offensive, as long as it's not carrying Grass Knot. I just assume that Mew can learn Grass Knot, because Mew can learn like pretty much anything. So to start off this game, I think I do lead the Torkoal in hopes to set up the rocks, but I think I end up just withdrawing, seeing this Mew. So not knowing whether it was offensive or defensive yet, the best middle ground play was by far Florges, so I went with it. And this reveals that it will be an attacking Mew with Earth Power. So Lilymon is another great answer to the Mew for this match. Kind of assuming that he would go into the Kartana, just Synthesis up to get the HP back. Go into Skarmory to tank whatever hit he throws. This is a perfect opportunity for me to throw up a layer of spikes. So I do that as he retreats and goes back into his Mew. So I'm going to go back into Florges here. I was honestly expecting him to defog right here, but I don't think he does. I think he does something different. He Will-O-Wisp. So he reveals he does have Will-O-Wisp. So right now, Seismitoad not looking the greatest, just to avoid the Will-O-Wisp burn. More looking like something like Skarmory could kind of wall this. As he reveals the Ice Beam, so I think at this point, I think all of his moves have been shown. Maybe it has Defog still. Oh, there's the Defog. Okay, so at this point, all of the moves have been revealed. So I know that it can't really touch. It can't really touch Florges. So this is kind of like a guaranteed switch in to the Mew. So I Calm Minded there, seeing that he couldn't do much. Fired off on Moonblast, expecting to hit the Mew, but instead dealing a nice chunk to the Kartana. So I'm gonna go into the Torkoal here to tank the hit once again. I did debate about throwing up rocks, but seeing as though Mew could defog, I decided against it, and I think I just Lava Plumed here. Yeah, I was kind of possibly hoping for a burn to set a clock on this, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So I am going to establish the Toxic here, just to, like I said before, establish a clock on this Mew. I'm perfectly fine with taking the Earth Power. I figured that this would tank one hit from it, and then I was also okay with the Synchronized Poison. So that's exactly what's going to happen here. As after this, I'm going to go into Florges. Half expecting that I can buy a turn to Aromatherapy, but also just hoping to just to tank whatever hit the Mew can throw out. As he goes for the Earth Power here, and he does get a Spadef drop, but honestly is not the biggest deal in the world. So I think I just fire off a Moonblast here, as I was predicting a possible Kartana switch in, just to get rid of it. We do get a crit on this Togekiss. Honestly, with the way the Togekiss goes down later in the game, it doesn't matter, the crit. It would have been more impactful if I got the special attack drop. So here, excuse me. Not knowing what the Togekiss was going to do, he did fire off the Air Slash. I just figured Skarmory was the best neutral play. So he goes into Klefki here, as I was going to try to go into Kyurem to pressure the Togekiss. So I immediately switch out into Lilymon here. He reveals to have Thunder Wave. Luckily the yellow color got nerfed this time around. He shows some spicy meatballs here. He has Switcheroo Power Anklet. So you're probably not sure what Power Anklet is. It was an item introduced in Generation 4 as a means of making EV training faster, but with the effect being that it lowers the speed of the Pokemon by half. So he actually halved my speed, even though it didn't show up on the modifiers when I hovered my mouse over here. I did have to go onto Cerebi to check it, and yeah, it does half your speed. And I think the Power Anklet is for attack EVs. I don't remember. It's supposed to double a certain kind of EVs you get, but the moral of the story for the battle is that it halves my speed. So he's just going to try and Hazard Stack. I fire off a Moonblast just to gauge some damage. I think that revealed that it was physically defensive and not specially. So seeing as this is going to go on forever, I just go into Skarmory as a means to defog the hazards away, and also roost up some HP, as he's going to fire off a Thunder Wave on here, which is kind of crappy, but at the same time, he gets the final layer spikes out. I defog them all away. Not really. Okay, so I withdraw back into Florges just to see what he's going to do. So his final move revealed to be Play Rough, which actually does a decent amount of Florges. And here I'm just going to Aromatherapy to get off the status on both the Skarmory and the Torkoal, as I felt that it was needed. I think I'm going to go back into... Oh no, I'm actually going to go into Seismitoad here. Seeing as though with Play Rough being his only move, he can't Thunder Wave me to paralyze me. And I figured he didn't want to give away with another Switcheroo, like such a great item to benefit Klefki. So I figured that would be the best thing to do, and if he wanted to Hazard Stack against this, I could always just go back into Skarmory and defog them away. So I'm going to knock off here, honestly predicting a switch out to really anything except for the Sceptile, as he goes into Mew. And I do knock off its leftovers, deal a nice chunk to it. Unfortunately, he does live another turn, so he's going to Will-O-Wisp me, which is a little unfortunate, but I pretty safe to click Earthquake here, and even if I couldn't kill it there, would easily go down to the Toxic after. So he goes into Sceptile here, and honestly, like before, I wanted Florges to be like the dedicated check to this, but with how much HP it had left, it couldn't really survive a Leaf Storm. So I had to like make a more safe play into Skarmory here, as he actually misses the Leaf Storm, which is kind of bad for me, because then he doesn't get the special attack drop, and as you can see, his Hidden Power Fire deals a nice chunk to me. So there's no way I'm surviving another hit, so I believe I just go into the Torkoal and sack it, seeing as though Hidden Power resists it here, and he's going to Earthquake here just to knock it out, to deal the final blow to it. I was fine with the Torkoal going down, since I still had a good defensive check to the Kartana. So here, I just need to pressure this thing. So I click for Ice Beam, and I think he switches out into Klefki here. Yeah, so we get an Ice Beam off on this. We do get a crit. I don't think it matters because he does heal up a significant amount. So at this point in the game, very clearly, Kyurem is my win condition. I can easily take out everything on Andre's team here. The only thing that's stopping me from sweeping with Kyurem is this Klefki, so I need to get it off the field. So to do that, Skarmory is the best play to do that. As you can see, Play Rough does absolutely nothing to it, especially with leftovers, basically mitigating the damage entirely. So I think I take the time here to Roost, because that's just an easy play for me to make. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't predict this play. I was predicting him to go Air Slash, just as like to try to flinch hacks me out. So I was gonna go into Galvantula to tank the Air Slash and then offensively pressure. However, Togekiss reveals to have Flamethrower. Little unfortunate, but that's okay. So now here is this is a critical turn here. So I figured the last time that the last time that I sent out Kyurem, he had his he sent out his Klefki. So I was actually I was predicting the Klefki play here again. And I go to click Earth Power, and he actually doesn't switch out. He instead goes for Flamethrower to try to gauge what exactly this thing is. Now this is also a crucial thing that happens. So he flamethrowers and now reveals that I'm Scarfed, because I'm pretty sure his Togekiss was also Scarfed. The Serene Grace actually boosted the flamethrower's chance to burn to 20%. This is actually huge, as it comes up later, but now it means he can't Thunder Wave, assuming that I can't get this Aromatherapy off, which is actually what my original intention was. I was just trying to tank hits here, see if it could survive and try to synthesis up, but it couldn't. So now he can't Thunder Wave with his Klefki to basically mitigate the Kyurem. And now here, I need to make the best middle ground play that I can. As we said before, this is very clearly the win condition for me. I just need to get the Klefki out of the way. And as the best middle ground play to get rid of this thing, I just need to click Flash Cannon, as it'll deal damage in general to Koko and to Sceptile, will knock out the Togekiss, knock out the Kartana, and 2-hit KO the Klefki. So I go for Flash Cannon, and he ends up sacking the Kartana here, which I'm perfectly fine with. It's just one less thing that my Skarmory has to deal with. As I believe he does go into Klefki here. So the best way to get rid of this thing was by far, like I said, Skarmory. So I think he does. Oh no, he just goes for the Play Rough here. So we're gonna go a lot of turns with like me Brave Birding and him like Thunder Wave Play Roughing me basically, as it's the best way for him to try to stall out this with the Klefki. He just didn't want to take a risk on getting damage off on any of his other Pokemon, I guess. I think a move into Koko here would have done well, and I think especially because like I've revealed all of my moves so far. I kind of actually maybe think that the Togekiss would have been a good play for him. As you can see, I do get a lucky crit here. The attack drop's kind of shitty for the Skarmory, just in the case of trying to get this thing out. So he goes and sets up a layer of spikes. It will come into play that I get this. I need to get the. I need to get these hazards out of the way, because otherwise the burn clock on Kyurem becomes like very legitimately scary. So I need to not only kill this, but also defog the hazards away. My number one priority though is just to get this get the Klefki out of the way though. So I'm just gonna continue to Brave Bird and finally kill it. So now this is finally where he goes into Koko, like I kind of figured he would. And honestly, at this point, I was planning on letting this go down because I didn't really want anything else taking damage from the Koko. I did just try to click Roost just in case something happened, and he actually mispredicts and clicks Grass Knot instead, expecting me to switch into the Seismitoad. So, and seeing that he switched out there, that pretty clearly shows to me that he was Specs, which actually he was. So the defog there on the switch was pretty easy for me, especially seeing as I could Sturdy, so even if he wasn't choiced, I could still get the defog off guaranteed, assuming I didn't get paralyzed. This Air Slash deals actually a significant amount to the Kyurem, but not enough to KO, which is what I was going for. So now this is very clearly the win condition. I need to click Ice Beam here to get rid of the Togekiss and the Sceptile. Ice Beam unfortunately cannot KO the Tapu Koko from where it's at. So I just gotta keep switching it out and find an attempt for me to hit Earth Power. Even though at this point I couldn't let this go down because this can 2-hit KO, and I do have this can 2-hit the Tapu Koko with Ice Beam, and I have 3 turns left, so this can win the game. I just need to preserve it. So I go into Seismitoad here. I was fully planning on letting this go down. Luckily, got that. luckily he thunderbolts here, and I'm immune to it. So I do end up going for the earthquake. I probably could have just clicked poison jab to hit both Pokemon, but like honestly, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. What does matter is that he didn't knock me out here. It just gives me another turn, really. So yeah, I do switch out into the Skarmory here. Not that it makes too much of a difference on which Pokemon goes down here. But yeah, he just goes Hidden Power Fire. I can go into Cure him safely here, and Ice Beam here, and then Ice Beam Koko twice, I guess, if he wanted to switch this out. He's kind of forced to not switch here. But yeah, so I just need to get out of here now, let Seismitoad go down, and come back in and click Earth Power, and then it's GG. That was an insane game that Andre played. Like, it was just an insane game on both players' parts. It's just like, I said it, and I think, my game against Mike, just like having games like that, having games like this is just so like exhilarating as a Pokemon player, because like it's like, it's more so when you win, but even when you lose, it's like it feels good because it was still competitive and stuff like that. Like, I would have been fine with losing. It would have sucked, yeah, but like, I mean, I can't be mad at Andre if he did win there. Just because like it was just such a good game played all around. But yeah, so that was week 7. Week 8, I believe, is against the Purdy Primates. I'm actually not too sure. That might be wrong. But regardless of who it's against, keep your eye out on the channel for the next battle video. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.